Hello and welcome back to Understanding Crypto. My name is Herve, and every other day on this channel I try to bring you crypto in the easiest way possible you will find on the internet. Here we cover things like predictive analysis, research, and tutorials to help guide you through this crazy world of coins and tokens. If that's the type of content you find interesting, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel with your notifications on so that you don't get to miss any other value-packed video like this one. Now, today I am very excited to bring you this Elliott Wave overview because I know how far it will go to help you. So grab a cup of coffee or whatever and sit tight. You could use the timestamps I will leave down below, but watching the video all the way through will not only go a long way to help with your understanding, but it will help the channel as well. So Elliott Wave was developed by Nelson Elliott, a financial accountant in the 1930s. He found that the market exhibited repetitive patterns of price movements, which he believed to have been driven by the psychology of market participants. This is something which we talk about all the time. So a lot of what we talk about, you will understand in this video perfectly. He first presented this theory in a series of articles titled The Wave Principle, published in the Financial World magazine in 1938. And later he detailed his ideas in his seminal work Nature's Laws, The Secret of the Universe. But the manuscript remained unpublished. Now, what's seriously impressive about Ralph Nelson is that to develop this theory, he had to study 75 years of stock market data. And at that time, there were not as many resources as we have now. He was basically charting on papers, not like you and I now that we just hop on the internet and we, pull up charts and stuff. He was also the first person to call the stock market bottom in 1935. You can imagine how crazy that was. Sadly, he passed away in 1948. And over the years, forecasters like A.J. Frost, Robert Prechter, and some other market analysts continued to use his theory. In the bull market of the 1980s, it gained some serious attention as Prechter used it for forecasting price action. The core concept of this theory is that the market moves in repetitive patterns of waves, both upward, also called motive waves, and downward, also called corrective waves. These waves can be further divided into smaller subwaves, creating a fractal pattern. Elliot identified a 5-wave pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that form motive waves, followed by a 3-wave correction, A, B, and C. Now, motive waves represent the main direction of the market trend, consisting of 5 sub-waves. 3 of these 5 sub-waves are in the direction of the main trend, which are also called the impulse waves, and 2 against the direction of the main trend, which are the retrace waves. Now, corrective waves, or A, B, and C, follow the completion of the motive waves and represent a counter-trend movement. Corrective waves consist of 3 subwaves, 2 of them, which are A and C, in the direction of the main trend and also called impulse waves. So they are impulsing in the direction of the main trend, which the main trend in this case is the corrective trend. And B against the direction of the main trend, which is the retrace wave. So let's dig in deeper into each of these waves to understand how they actually work. In the motive waves, wave 1 is the initial wave of the sequence, which starts in the direction of the larger trend. It's mostly a small move relative to the rest of the waves, and it establishes the foundation for the trend. The market psychology or sentiment here is usually still very bearish. This is where you would hear things like bear market rally or suckers rally. Now, following the completion of wave 1, we have wave 2, which begins and represents a corrective move against the larger trend. It is a counter move, but doesn't necessarily erase all the gains of wave 1. The psychology or sentiment here is usually still very bearish. Most traders would be saying, I told you so. The rally was just fake. This is it. We're coming down. We're going down now. This is it. It's ended. It's done. We're going now. We are going to plummet. That is the psychology of wave 2. Wave 2 can retrace 50% of wave 1, 68% of wave 1, 78% or more of wave 1. But note here, wave 2 must not go below the low of wave 1. So wave 2 must not retrace more than 100% of wave 1. After wave 2, we have wave 3. Wave 3 starts at the end of wave 2. Wave 3 is often the longest and most powerful in the sequence, and it represents the strongest momentum in the direction of the trend. Smart traders in this case would recognize this wave and start going long with every price drop, as they understand that this is the most powerful wave. Bears get severely wrecked in this wave, as they see every high as a possible giant short, but their short provides the fuel needed for price to continue to the upside as they get short squeezed. Following the strong and powerful move of wave 3 comes wave 4, and it's more like a pause in the trend, often characterized by a consolidation or sideways correction. Here, the psychology or sentiment starts to get bullish amongst retail traders as they have seen the power of wave 3. Wave 4 would retrace about 38 or 50% of wave 3. Wave 5 is the final motive wave, so the final wave of the larger trend to the upside. Wave 5 may exhibit less momentum than wave 3, but still contributes to the overall directional movement. The psychology or sentiment in wave 5 is usually very bullish across the board and is mostly considered to be the retail rally, and it brings less volume. If you have been following the channel religiously, you will know that only institutions can actually bring us big volume, and a reduction in volume with a higher price would actually mean a divergence. This can often be seen on indicators like the stochastic RSI. So you would hear me say that as we get closer to some figure, I am looking for a divergence on the weekly or on the monthly. That's because I'm trying to catch wave 5. Now, these 5 waves represent a larger trend up. After them comes a corrective phase, which will usually consist of waves A, B, and C. Something to note as we go further is that waves 2 begin at the end of wave 1, waves 3 begin at the end of wave 2, waves 4 begin at the end of wave 3, and wave 5 begin at the end of wave 4. So they all begin at the end of the previous one. The ABC correction begins at the end of wave 5. Wave A is the first wave in the corrective sequence, which starts with the completion of wave 5. It can be sharp and impulsive depending on the pattern it was part of, and it is often characterized by a bullish sentiment among retail traders, where they think it's just a pullback for another rally to begin again. Remember that the retail traders started getting bullish in wave 4, so as the markets get to wave 5 and start a big correction, they assume that it's just another retracement for an even bigger rally. Wave A often consists of subwaves, which can be 5 or 3 waves. So inside of wave A, you have subwaves, 5 or 3. So basically waves inside of a bigger wave. Now, if you are enjoying this video so far, kindly give it a like. It helps to motivate me to make more videos like this, and it really helps support the channel. Your likes are appreciated. After the completion of wave A, wave B comes in and moves partially back in the direction of the larger trend. Now, the larger trend in this case is the corrective trend, the trend to the downside. The motive trend was to the upside. This is the corrective trend to the downside. And wave B is retracing that trend. You can think of wave B as a retracement of wave A, which does not mark the end of the overall corrective trend. The sentiment among traders in wave B is, I was right that it's just a retracement, or we have seen the bottom already, there is no other deeper low coming. Those who were bullish in wave A will say that I told you so, we are now going up, the rally is on. Wave B is a lot more similar to how wave 2 acts with wave 1 in that it can retrace 50% of wave A, 68% of wave A, or even 78% of wave A, but fail to go above the high of wave A. Wave C is the final wave of the corrective sequence, and it is the most dynamic and powerful of all corrective waves. It often extends beyond the end of waves A, reaching new price extremes. The completion of wave C marks the end of the overall correction, and the market is poised to resume another larger trend up. Some traders and analysts use Elliott Wave Theory to identify potential turning points in the marketplace, forecast the likely direction of future price movements, and manage risk. To do this, they use Elliott Wave-based rules that must not be broken. Rule 1. Wave 2 must never retrace more than 100% of wave 1. If your wave count found that it did, then your wave count is wrong and you need to count again. This is where I usually talk about the 0.618 and the 0.786 Fibonacci level in the idea of longing wave 3. Something to remember. Rule 2. Wave 3 cannot be the shortest impulse wave of the sequence. Most often, it will be the longest and should clearly exceed the highest point of wave 1, but must never be the shortest wave between wave 1 and 5 of the sequence. Rule 3. Wave 4 must never retrace into the price zone of wave 1. So, we see how the understanding of these rules can actually contribute to some valuable insights when it comes to trading and investing, yes? Some other things to note when trying to identify waves is the relationship between wave 2 and 4. They are both retracement waves, moving in the opposite direction of the trend, retracing impulse waves. What to note about them is that they have an opposite behavior to each other. If wave 2 takes a long time to form, wave 4 will take a shorter time to form. If wave 2 is a zigzag correction, wave 4 will be a flat correction. Flat here meaning something that is like a consolidation, and vice versa. A bonus here is that in the event where wave 3 is the longest wave, wave 5 will be close to the length of wave 1. Elliott Wave Theory goes a lot more deeper than discussed in this video, folks. But I find some of these rules to be very important, and they actually help make sense of price action a lot of the times. As we go along with our predictive analysis videos, you will see a lot of these things coming up. So when you hear that BTC rallied or dumped, a question you should ask yourself, which is what I usually ask myself, is what wave are we in? This alone helps a lot with deciding if it is a time to invest or it is a time to be thinking of taking profits. Having this idea will prevent you from buying the top or selling the bottom. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, kindly give it a like. I will really appreciate. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, do so, and I will see you in the next one. Stay safe.